On 1 September 1983, a Korean Airlines Boeing 747 was en route from Anchorage to Seoul when it strayed off course into Soviet airspace near Sakhalin Island. The USSR's response: a Soviet Su-15 fighter jet piloted by Major Gennady Osipovich was dispatched to intercept the aircraft. Despite the fact that the Boeing 747 was a civilian airliner, Soviet authorities perceived it as a spy aircraft, allegedly confusing it with an American RC-135 reconnaissance jet. Osipovich fired 2 missiles, bringing the plane down. All 269 passengers and crew perished. For days, Moscow refused to acknowledge responsibility, with Soviet Defense Minister Dmitry Ustinov pushing for complete denial in Politburo meetings. When the truth became undeniable, General Nikolai Ogarkov took the stage, claiming the aircraft was on a deliberate spy mission coordinated by Washington and Tokyo. It wasn't until 1990, amid perestroika, that Mikhail Gorbachev formally admitted Soviet responsibility. By then, the damage to the USSR's international reputation had already been done. Fast forward 3 decades, and another Boeing, another missile, and another denial. On 17th July 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH17, a Boeing 777, was flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur when it was shot down over eastern Ukraine. The aircraft was at 33,000 feet, cruising over Donetsk, an area controlled by Russian-backed separatists, when it suddenly disappeared from radar. The wreckage was scattered over a 50 square kilometer area. All 298 people on board, including 193 Dutch nationals, 43 Malaysians, and 27 Australians, were killed instantly. International investigators quickly determined that the aircraft had been struck by a Buk surface-to-air missile, a system used by Russia's 53rd Anti-Aircraft Missile Brigade based in Kursk. Russia's reaction followed a familiar pattern: initial denial. Moscow claimed Ukrainian forces had shot down the plane. Disinformation campaigns. Russian state media pushed dozens of alternative theories, including claims that a Ukrainian fighter jet had attacked MH17. Fabricated evidence. Russian authorities even produced radar and satellite images attempting to shift the blame, many of which were later debunked. Obstruction of justice. Moscow refused to cooperate with international investigations and blocked UN resolutions aimed at holding those responsible accountable. After years of investigation, a Dutch-led joint investigation team, JET, concluded that the missile system had been transported from Russia into Ukraine and fired by separatist forces. In November 2022, a Dutch court convicted 3 pro-Russian separatists in absentia for their role in the attack. But Moscow has never admitted responsibility, echoing the denials of 1983. Now, in 2024, another passenger aircraft tragedy unfolds, and the playbook remains unchanged. The Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243 crash near Aktau bore clear similarities to the previous incidents. Preliminary findings indicated that the plane was struck by a Russian surface-to-air missile, SAM, over Chechnya before it lost control. High-resolution images from the crash site further supported the external explosion theory. Aviation experts noted that the nature of the debris pattern and impact sites were consistent with a mid-air detonation caused by an external strike, ruling out engine failure or onboard detonation. Then came Putin's apology to Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev, an implicit admission of responsibility, though not a public acknowledgement. Yet now, days later, a new Russian narrative emerges, a transcript leak implying a technical malfunction rather than an external attack, a media campaign to shift public perception. going on with initial alternative theories, including claims that a bird strike caused an engine failure or that a fuel tank explosion led to the crash, despite evidence pointing to an external impact. No official confirmation, just strategic ambiguity, the same approach used for MH17 and KAL 007. Azerbaijan's government remains unmoved by these shifting Russian explanations. President İlham Aliyev has made it clear.
Bugün biz tam açık-aydın diyebiliriz ki Rusya tarafından terör vuruldu.
We can clearly say today that the plane was shot down by Russia. This is a fact, and no one can deny this fact. Again, we are not saying that this was done intentionally, but it was done. We have clearly expressed our demands to the Russian side. These demands were officially communicated to them on the 27th of December. What do these demands consist of? First of all, the Russian side must apologize to Azerbaijan. Secondly, it must acknowledge its guilt. Thirdly, those responsible must be punished, brought to criminal responsibility, and compensation must be paid to the Azerbaijani state, to the injured passengers and crew members.
Ve Azerbaycan devletine ve zarar çeken sərnişin ve ekipaj üzvlerine tazminat ödemelidir.
Will Russia acknowledge responsibility this time? With historical precedent in mind, the Aktau crash raises the same question as before. Will Moscow admit responsibility like it eventually did in 1990? Or will it continue the denialist playbook of 2014, refusing to take the blame indefinitely? The world is watching. The families of the victims deserve the truth.